Information Management Technologies?
Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wareham Selectmen's meeting of April 17th, 2018. Roll call, please.
Roll call. 5 selectmen present, town administrator, and town council.
Okay, pledge of allegiance.
And that's
Tracy,
the first time, by
your
the way.
turn.
Oh, second time, right? 5 selectmen.
Sit up front, you lose.
To the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I really am.
Frog didn't put his hand over his chest.
Announcements?
Announcements. We'll start with Tony.
None.
Mary?
This weekend, April 21st and 22nd is Don't Trash Wareham. I hope everyone is already committed to a team or an area. Stay safe out there. I hope people drive carefully around them. There's lots of hazards out there, but we do it every year, and it looks fantastic afterwards. Also, there is a pollinator expo at, if I can pull it up real quick, this Saturday at the Boys and Girls Club. It says the Wareham Land Trust, the Wareham Garden Club, and the Wareham Boys and Girls Club will have a pollinator exposition. This is a free event, and it's a great opportunity for nature-loving community members to come together and learn how to cultivate the perfect environment for our pollinator friends. This is from 10 to 1 on Saturday. And that's it from me.
Thank you. Peter?
Just a reminder, town meeting next Monday night, the 23rd, starts at 7 o'clock. As per usual, we'll start with Madam Moderator's instructions to us on how we're to comport ourselves, make motions, and so on and so forth. We'll start the regular meeting at 7:30. We'll go into the special town meeting, and when we get done with that, we'll come back out and finish off the agenda for the regular town meeting. I hope we get a good turnout. A lot of interesting items on the warrant. And this is your opportunity to act as a citizen legislator and exercise your responsibility as a citizen to your town.
Thank you. Patrick?
Okay, we have no special announcements, but I have one for myself. I happened to be looking for something the other night, a location. So I went and I'm looking and I'm trying to find house numbers, so you can find out where you're going. And guess what? Half the houses didn't have house numbers on the street I was on. We got to do something about that. We got to ask people. Now, look, it's illegal, I know, and there's a fine and all that. Forget all that. We don't want to fine anybody. But I want everybody to understand how dangerous it is when life is at hand for whatever reason, and they're trying to find your house. To have a little 7 hidden down underneath a thing or hiding behind a bush or a tree, that seconds that they take to get to your house, that might be the seconds they need to save somebody's life. So I'm going to ask that everyone out there, and we're going to keep on harping on this if you don't mind, if everybody out there starts looking for the numbers and put their numbers up, put them up where they're visible, make sure they're clear and concise, so that way when somebody calls and says, hey, I'm looking for your house, and by the way, if your number's on and the house on the number side and somebody forgets next to you, they'll find that house because you had your number. Because, obviously the numbers kind of go in some consecutive. So it's important, and it's an important issue. I know it sounds silly and petty, and I know that we could send somebody out to fine everybody, which I think is sort of the ridiculous thing. But the fact is, we got to get it done. Everybody, please get your numbers on your houses. Thank you.
Just further to that point, I think the road commissioners actually have control over house numbers, so that might be a good thing to get out to them so they can spread the word as well.
Yeah, we could send, can we send that to them? You know what, I'll ask Janet to send it to them.
Yeah, ask them.
She just heard me, so.
Ask them to put it on
Put it on their agenda, so.
on their agenda.
Yeah, she heard you next week, but that's okay.
So if you want, you could go to the agenda and you could go to that meeting, talk to them about if that works for you.
So, yeah, so it's got to get, it's just a safety issue that's a shame it's such a simple thing to fix.
Okay, I'm not gonna do any announcements to me today. We have a new piece that I put on called Chairman's Comments. There was a lot of basically comments back and forth is the best way to put it, complaining about a lack of communication between the town administration, the selectmen, and the citizens, et cetera, committees, boards, or whatever. It wasn't your fault, mine. Just during the campaign and stuff, there was a lot of back and forth. But that's just, so what I'm trying to do is just put out some things that are going on that the town is involved with, so that people know where we're going on certain things, so it's not a surprise. Patrick made a very good case on the situation that we have with, 40B, et cetera. 40B is another actually unfunded mandate at the end of the day. So we had someone actually send Patrick a note about that, and at this point here, I'm going to ask Mr. Bowen to get back to us in a couple weeks whether or not it's something that we can basically make a complaint to the auditor's office, Mrs. Bump, and lodge a complaint for an unfunded mandate. And if we have to sue, we go to jail again, that's all. If that's okay with you, sir.
I'm ready now.
Well, then, we should at least work on that for now.
Interesting enough, the gentleman who sent it was a chairman of the Change 40B committee, and he served on one other committee prior to that, which was a state committee. So the guy has some credentials in this matter. And he just says nobody's bothered to really just push it to the limit. And maybe it's time that somebody does. I mean, because I still say, in my opinion, this will bankrupt the town.
Well, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, what we need to do is to put together a petition to the state auditor, Ms. Bump, asking that she declare that this is a mandate under Chapter 59, Section 21C,
Yep.
that it's an unfunded mandate, and in connection with that, it might be useful to include some list of potential costs so that it's
Yes.
clear that it's not just something that's abstract, that it's something that's real.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You want to work with Mr. Sullivan on the cost part of it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. So just to let the people know that we are serious about this and it's not just rhetoric.
We should put the 40B on as an agenda topic.
Well, I am for next meeting, but I want to just,
There's some other things out there that we should discuss as well.
yes. That's the first thing.
I think, can I just say one
Sure,
other thing,
go
if you don't mind? How about if we, I think we should have the water department and ourselves, this is pending litigation, in
Yeah,
an executive
water
session
department.
with some of our people to talk about the potential, because this, without a doubt, is potential litigation. And I think we ought to have an action plan and be able to sit down and talk about this. If we have to have it on a special night, that's fine. But a special, night when we can get together in executive session and discuss this potential of litigation.
Yeah, we'd have to bring in the onset water department for that one.
There's the young man over there. Again,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just following up on Selectman Tropiano's comments. After we complete the town meeting process, I was planning to do a case update for the board so that you could be acquainted with the progress of the very few cases that we have left in litigation.
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
All right, next, of course, is the commuter rail that we all know about. The state has made a commitment to basically have what they call Phase 1 up and running by sometime in 2022. The Cape Fly route, which is the old colony that we have, is really not in the plan per se. I've had some meetings at the State House and a few other things, and the bottom line is that we need to lobby using Susan Williams Gifford, any other elected officials we have in Plymouth as well, and start to put together meetings with the surrounding towns around us that would be effective to start lobbying for that to be included in, because it's there. If we lose this opportunity here, we'll probably not have much of a chance later on. So just people understand that we are working on that as well. I also talked to Claire a while ago about putting together with her a campaign booklet. So when people run for office, and it's the first time they do it, there's a booklet which explains things you can do, can't do, et cetera. Also lists out the campaign and finance office in Boston, which any new person that basically is running for election is really supposed to go up to Boston and take the course there. So I can't remember the commissioner's name, but he said, I'm glad to answer any questions you want. Just don't have me have to call you to come see me, because it's going to be very bad. So I think it's really an important thing we put together to make it easy for people. Also, in that same line, there was a couple people made comments that, in business, that they really were not comfortable coming to town meeting to vote because people would see how they vote, et cetera. And a couple people gave me actually examples of what happened to them. One, I'm not gonna say who, but there was a couple that had a restaurant that opened up in town. It wasn't town meeting, but they, after 1 year, they were successful. They put an ad in the paper thinking that'd be great to thank everybody. Well, it happened to be the Wareham Observer where they put their ad and not knowing what was going on. They immediately got threatening phone calls. People went into the restaurant yelling at them. It took them months to recover from it. But these are the type of things that happen which are unnecessary, really are wrong. So I think it's really important that we sit there and look seriously if we can put together maybe the 2 districts, because it came up the district vote, this past week or so about a paper ballot. Maybe it's time we try to figure out some way if we can put it together for everybody and somehow defer the costs around it. Maybe we can make it work, look for a grant. But I think it's important that we get everybody available to vote. I know we shake our heads, we can't do it, but at the end of the day, it's a shame that you have a whole portion of your population is uncomfortable coming to vote. Go ahead, Peter.
Can I speak to that one? The problem is town meeting isn't just a voting body, it's a deliberative body.
I know.
So you go in there, you have warrant articles, you have motions that are written, the motions can be amended, they can be changed, they can be further studied. There's any of 80 things that can happen to a given motion once it's presented, and I just don't see how you can come up with a paper ballot that's going to deal
No,
with that
I'm not talking about
contingency.
paper ballot, I'm talking about electronic voting only.
Oh, that?
Yeah, all it is when you go to vote, nobody knows how you vote.
I'd like to think we've come a little way from the days when we were throwing rocks at each other. I don't really like to pander to that mentality.
Well, we'll disagree. The other piece, too, is when we have committees, boards, commissions, and we have people we're going to put on the boards and everything else, I think it's really important, seeing what's been happening, that we make sure that we vet the committee, and whoever is responsible for that particular committee at least visits once in a while to get an idea how the committee functions. And if we're putting someone on a committee, we have to make sure that from our point of view, they're going to fit and be constructive and not destructive to a committee. We've had some issues lately that's worked that way, and we just can't sit there, someone volunteers, say great, and throw them in, because a lot of times it doesn't work. And the other piece, we have the miniature bottle bill is slowly moving its way along in basically the House and Senate. I'd ask people if they can, basically write to their senator, their representative, sponsoring the bill to push it, because I'm tired of picking up nips. And I believe on Saturday, the selectmen are going to, except you're not Peter, right? Your Sundays. On Saturday, we'll be doing the cleanup on Minded Ave and Narrows Road. Try not to hit us too many times as you go by. Thank you. Next.
Citizens' comments.
Oh, yes. Go ahead, Mrs. Slavin. No, we'll get Mrs. Slavin done first. Get it out of the way.
Come on down, you're the next contestant.
Good evening, Sandy Slavin. There were 3, I'm trying to speak loudly. 3 things. Yes, you're all going to vote on, or speak to among yourself as to who will be liaison to various committees. I've been here every year for quite a few years asking the same request. Can you at least show up once to one of our meetings to meet the people who are volunteering on the committees and get some idea of what we do? So I know some of you don't believe it's necessary or anything like that, but once a year is not too much to ask a selectman to show up at a liaison meeting. 2, regarding street signs. I'm on Conservation Commission, and I go out every week prior to a hearing to look at the sites that are being the upcoming hearing. I know how many times I can't find a number, and I'm saying, how do the fire, police, first responders ever find a dwelling where there's nothing on a mailbox, nothing on the house? And it is part of the road commissioners when it left the selectmen became the road commissioner's responsibility for house numbers. So I strongly support asking them to ask for numbers to be placed on the homes. What was the third one? Oh,
If you sell the house, it's required for the inspection that you have a house number. So, but if the house hasn't been sold, then the
it's
numbers aren't
just-
there, they just aren't there, you know? And
There's
it's-
been more than once I've gone to a house that wasn't having a conservation hearing and say, do you know where this number is? The third thing, can you give us some idea of where the state stands with their plastic bag bill? I went to the Market Basket in Sandwich and been watching them for quite a few times about
Born, yeah.
Born,
yeah.
by the bridge. And it's one of those things that 80% of the people coming bring their own bags. I think it's absolutely great. And I was shopping there, there's no more plastic bags. Everything's in paper, or you can buy a plastic bag. That's 80% of those people are. So Market Basket has already taken the step to no longer use plastic bags in their grocery stores.
That's because Bourne has done that.
But then I stand outside of something like Shaw's, and I'm lucky to see 10% of the people bringing in their own bags. What a rude awakening our population is going to be when there's no more plastic bags available.
Just so you know, I shop there myself, and what happened was Bourne passed a regulation that doesn't allow for them, so they did away with them. And I'll tell you why people are bringing their own bags, because the paper bags stink.
Yeah, well,
They
it
fall,
doesn't.
you pick up the bag and
Well,
falls.
if anything's wet or frozen, it falls through. So bring your own bags. But
Yeah,
where
that's
does
why
the state
everybody's
stand?
bringing your own stuff, because you got to.
The answer to the question is there's a bill also slowly moving through the House and Senate. It is there.
So somewhere down the line, there'll be no more plastic bags
I
from.
think there's something in the range of 50 communities have passed the plastic ban already on their own.
Okay.
Actually, the town of Wareham, if they wanted to, the Board of Health could do it on its own.
I think that was the three things I had.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, they can.
Thank you.
Does anybody challenge that? That seems a little
No,
more
yeah.
into the stream of commerce and a little outside of the purview of health.
No, it's actually been done and stood up.
What's unhealthy about a plastic bag?
Trash. Healthy.
Unless you eat it.
Come on down.
Don't put it over your head.
Come on down, sir. You're the next contestant.
Good evening. Tom Mickey, Precinct 3.
Good evening, Tom.
I'll just mention that I have 4 house numbers on my house. I have one on the front gate, one on the back gate, one on the front door, and one on the back side door. So I'm covered.
Are they all the same?
Let's go.
It's a good thing.
And they're all the same
That-
number.
that's a bonus.
666.
666.
That's a little frightening.
I thought it was 3 sixes, not 4.
Anyway, the reason I came by this evening was this past weekend was the second Saturday of the month. And so for people who are trying to recover from this winter's rash of storms, I'm sure many people like myself spent a good part of the day hauling leaves and brush to the municipal maintenance facility to dispose of materials. I myself brought 33 barrels of leaves over 3 different trips, and I've already accumulated another 16 since then. And I'll have to hang on to those essentially for a month now to dispose of them. So by the end of the month, I'll probably have 50 barrels of leaves to take there on the next event. And I recognize that, due to financial constraints, the town can't really afford to open the facility more than 1 day a month, which only, suggests that perhaps maybe we need to get the people at the 3-town transfer station to move whatever process they have along so that we can go back to the existing system that we have. But before I address some of those issues, I just wanted to say that this past Saturday could have been a hectic day with all the people going there with leaves and brush, but it wasn't because of both of the professionalism and the hard work that the municipal maintenance employees did. As I said, I made 3 different trips there, and on every trip, they assisted me with, dumping barrels, and I saw them helping, other people, not only elderly people like myself, but anybody that came in with bags, with leaves, with barrels, they helped them. And so they really went above and beyond the call of duty. And so I just wanted to commend the municipal maintenance staff. I know people complain a lot about everything and what's wrong with the town, and I would like to see the facility open, every weekend, but I recognize that realistically that can't happen due to financial reasons. However, they did go above and beyond, the call of duty, and so I just wanted to commend them for their hard work and professionalism. So the main reason why I'm here is about to get an update on what's going on with the three-town transfer station that's located in Marion. Having talked to several of the people there on various trips, I hear different stories, from the people that work there. And so I'm not quite sure exactly, what's going on there. I've heard stories that it's closed because there was a contamination incident. It was closed because of financial, they have no money. It was closed because they have lack of manpower. It was closed because they don't have enough room to accept more compost materials. So those are all different stories that I've heard from different people that work there. And so I'm wondering what the actual real story is. So and I recognize that it's not the Board of Selectmen's purview to deal with that, but, it's my understanding that we do have a representative from the town that sits on that tri-town committee, and perhaps maybe if the town administrator can answer some of my questions. If he can't, maybe, the gentleman or woman who's on that tri-town committee might be able to address some of these kinds of things. Like, for example, give us an update of when this facility will reopen, if it's going to reopen. A tentative date for when this is going to happen. What are the financial situation, what's the financial situation there? Are fees associated with bringing material there going to be instituted? I don't have a problem with that if they want to charge, citizens to go there. I can't believe over the past several years that they haven't charged landscapers who basically bring the bulk of the material there, had free access to disposal of materials for all this time. Now they actually have to pay to dispose of it at, in Rochester or other facilities, wherever they may be taking them. If you're a gardener like I am and you do a lot of yard work, I depend on, wood chips from there to mulch my shrub borders and beds. I know a lot of people go there for compost for their gardens, so if people are actively doing yard work right now, now is the time to put compost down. Now is the time to get compost. And if the facility is closed because of one of those other reasons, it doesn't appear to me that there's any justification for why people can't go there and take material away. If there's a shortage of space, citizens from the three towns should be able to go there and get wood chips. They should be able to go there and get compost. They're not disposing of anything. In fact, they're taking, valuable resource away to be essentially reused and recycled. So it makes sense that, that component could be there, should be involved in the reopening of at least portions of that. The final issue that I want to bring up is the swap shed closure. I read an article in the newspaper a while back that the Marion Town Administrator said that the facility was not going to reopen ever. And I'm wondering was that a unilateral decision, or was that a decision from the committee of the three towns that decided that that facility would not be reopened? And yes, I have a vested interest in it because I'm a junk picker like everybody else that goes to the swap shed. But more importantly, if you want to have a sound, fiscally sound and environmentally sound solid waste management program, there's 3 R's. There's reduce, reuse, and recycle. And we do a pretty good job of recycling materials there. With the closure of the shed, we're not doing any reuse. And as a consequence of that, all the materials that were, put in the swap shed that people took and used now is going into the 60-yard containers, and we're paying a tipping fee to throw that perfectly good material away when people have a good use for those materials. As far as reduction, well, that's within individual people, and I think we're going to address that with plastic reduction with plastic bags and those kinds of things. That's reducing the amount of solid waste that we're generating. So I'm here really to advocate for the reopening of that swap shed, not only for myself, but for the people in the 3 towns. And I heard some suggestion that there was a liability issue associated with closing that, and I'm not sure what that is because every surrounding town has a swap shed at their transfer station. And if they don't have liability issues there, I'm wondering why ours is so unique that it would have a unique situation where there'd be a liability issue. So while I recognize that it's not specifically within the purview of the Board of Selectmen, I know that the town administrator at least has some say in terms of the committee appointments and who those people report to. I'm not really sure, and it would be helpful if we could get some update on that as well. So, that's all I have to say, and, if the town administrator wants to address any of those or any of the board members want to, well, that would be fine.
It's up to Derek. What's happened, just so you understand, is
Chairman, it's not up to me. This has always been citizens' comments, where we've never had the...
I'm not asking you to say anything right now.
No, it's lately we've been, and I'm sorry to be snappish, lately we've been going against that rule. So
I understand.
I just need to know which direction this board wants to go, whether we're going to adhere to it or not.
I'm just going to let him know that you'll have to get back to him on the information.
Oh.
Because all it is
Write it in the book if you could, please.
Yeah.
If you take the time, please, I know it's a little bit of work, but would you write it in the book so that we can get it, we can
I just
follow
need
up with it?
I just need a pen.
Okay, come get one. I know it's a little bit of work, but it'll help us to follow up.
That's fine. If there's no other people, I'll just sit in the back and do it. and
That's
then
okay.
You can get on with the
I
meeting.
appreciate it.
Tom, while you guys were away, there was an article in the Wareham Week that explained that the 3 town administrators for the towns were in charge of the facility right now. So that's who you have to go to. That's all I was trying to bring up.
For the day-to-day operations.
day-to-day
We do
operations.
not vote, and it's up to a board that votes on all those.
Correct.
So I think there's a lot of misinformation.
There
out
is a lot, including the swap shop.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry to get your dander up, kid.
No, it's not getting my dander up. It's just,
Understand?
to see that we have some sort of standard format. Otherwise,
Yep.
who are...
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Appointments.
Wait a minute. Yep.
Speaking of which,
Go ahead, Claire.
I was wondering if you were going to come up being so close to
Well,
town
it's like
meeting.
Titlebaum actually stole my thunder about town meeting, but I just want to quickly share with you a very unique experience that the Wareham Minutemen and Militia Company had yesterday. They were invited to participate in a ceremony in Provincetown. There was a young lady who was doing her ancestry and found her roots back to her great-great-great-grandfather who served in the American Revolution, which led to her discovering that there were 10 burial grounds in their oldest cemetery of these 10 Revolutionary soldiers, which they didn't know they had. So the cemetery commissioners spent a year putting together and documenting the history of it, and raising money to put plaques on their graves. And so they realized that they have recognized veterans from World War I, World War II, and all the other wars, but never recognized these veterans of the American Revolution. So they put together this wonderful ceremony, invited all the veterans groups, and then someone said, wouldn't it be nice if we could have some colonials? So they reached out to both the Wareham Minutemen and the Yarmouth Minutemen, and both of our groups went down, and it was the most wonderful ceremony that they put together. And they had each of the soldiers standing at one of the graves to represent that Revolutionary War soldier. And they had all of the veterans groups from the town there. Thankfully, the rain held off for 10 minutes, and we didn't get wet or soaked, but it was probably one of the most unique things I've ever been involved in. And it made me think about our cemeteries. And perhaps maybe someday when Howie and I really retire and have some time, it might be interesting to go through and document some of the older graves and see what we have here. But it was very interesting. They did a wonderful program. They put out a booklet. And it just was a real unique and wonderful experience to participate in that. And while I'm on it, I want to remind people that we're bringing Sam Davis a week from Friday as General Washington. And I actually happened to be cleaning out some books that I had and discovered that the Wareham Minutemen and Militia actually served under General Washington. So I passed that information on to Sam Davis with hopes that he will talk a bit about the role that the Wareham Minutemen and Militia played during the Revolution with George Washington, which is something I didn't know. So I just want people who have an interest in history, they might want to take advantage of that night and come and listen to him.
Thank you.
Provincetown, by the way, is where the Pilgrims
Thanks.
actually landed.
First time.
The first time, exactly right. There was really, to the chagrin of Plymouth, there is really no rock involved. It's all sand.
And the rock in Plymouth is not the right one either.
No, it's not.
Okay,
All right, so the first thing is, we have an appointment for Gary Buckminster to the Wareham Regional Refuge Disposal District Representative. Now, interesting enough, we gotta really give Gary some kudos, because, you know, he's stepping up to this, and I'll tell you, that guy is stretched out about as far as anybody can be stretched. And he keeps doing it. He keeps keeping it. I know, you know, you gotta give this guy a lot of kudos. That's all I can say. I mean, he has no problem with stepping up to another thing. I mean, between all the jobs he has now, I just can't believe it. I mean, he's amazing.
He did, and I appreciate his stepping up. He did say if anybody on the board would like to take his place, he's more than willing.
So,
And I
I
noticed you
move-
didn't put Gary's name on there, so it's open for whomever.
No, it isn't. It's on here.
No, on the agenda.
Oh, really? Well, it's on here. We never do put the names on the agenda.
No.
That's it?
No, we don't.
it's open.
It says Gary Buckminster, 9-seater, Wareham.
We can change that to,
Okay, nominate the
change it.
chairman.
Does
Can
somebody
I do
else wanna
that?
say
yeah, we can put Derek on the,
We can put Derek on?
I just said you.
You're on
He's
there.
already on it. He's one of
I don't
the-
think he can serve on the board that supervises him. That
Yeah,
doesn't work.
no, I
Sure
That's
he
not
can.
gonna work so well.
it'll be fine.
I mean, we could,
It'd be
you
okay
know,
for him.
No, it would not be okay for me.
Anybody else want to deal with trash?
No.
All right, I
pick it up,
move
it's enough.
that we appoint Gary Buckminster of 9 Cedar Street, Wareham, Mass, to,
Did Tom
to
leave?
the-
Can we
as the
make Tom?
representative to the Carver, Marion, Wareham Regional Refuge Disposal District.
Why not?
Do I have a second?
No, go ahead.
Any questions from the board? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Okay,
Congratulations, Gary.
Another
Something
job
else
for
to add
to your
Gary
resume.
Buckminster.
you want to go down to the ones for the Wareham Village
One
Association?
that isn't.
Tracy's here. There's
Okay.
3 of them.
Yep.
One that isn't.
We'll go down to D then. Request of the Wareham Village Association, care of Tracy McGraw. You want to come down, Tracy? Sure. And let me just move ahead here a little bit, since you're here.
Do you have a pen?
Purple.
No, I know.
Let's see, which one first? Walk for Hunger. For Sunday, May 8th, May 6th. Do you want to talk a little
It's
bit?
not me.
Oh, sorry.
I'll talk about it, but that's not me.
You don't mind doing that. How about Swans Festival?
You walk
Can
a
we do
lot, so
Swan
that's
I do
good,
walk a
right?
lot.
Yeah.
July 14th,
Yes, sir, that's me.
and the rain date of Sunday, July 15th. You want to talk a little bit about it before we do it?
No.
Sure. We are bringing it back again. Last year, we brought it back for the first time,
Peter,
so
I
it had,
did
the response was awesome. This year, we're going to switch it up a little bit. It was a little disconnected last year. We had the children's activities in Bessie Park, and the festival itself with the vendors was from kind of behind Cumberland Farms all the way down to the firehouse. So this year, what we're going to do is change it to, everything is going to be from 191 Main Street down to the firehouse parking lot, which is where the kids' activities will be. So it'll bring the whole festival together, which is great. There were some people that didn't even know that they were visiting the vendors and they didn't even know the kids' stuff was going on. Granted, the weather was not great at all, so people weren't venturing around, but I think it's gonna make a huge difference, and the vendors are so excited, the ones that we have had contact with. So that's a huge change. We will have to change the kids' activities. I know the town does not want any blow-up gigs for the kids, which is a bummer because they love it, but I get it. Plus, it's going to be on asphalt. So we're going to do maybe a mini golf course, different activities that we're working on right now. So that's the biggest change. And then the little train will still ride through, which will be better because, again, it's connected.
Okay.
No dunk tank because none of you guys showed up. Just saying. I was challenged. I brought the dunk tank, and there were no selectmen
I
there.
was standing there waiting for you.
You're right.
Said that it actually was
It
going to
was
happen.
chilly to be
One
dunked,
side.
but
That was
Nobody
White-
actually said it was going to happen.
No, it was Whiteside.
Oh, that's too bad.
I was a little concerned with the electric wires.
I would have
going
gone.
to
I
it,
went the
so-
last time they had it,
it was
I was
there.
there.
We were ready.
I was in that tank. I mean, it was okay. It was kind of,
I was standing
Given the
there.
weather, it wouldn't have mattered.
No.
it seems like those people have better arms than you think.
So we're not having that
Did we do it a
this
few
year.
times for the baseball Little
Yeah,
League?
we've done it lots of times.
I think I've dunked Patrick a couple of times.
Yeah,
at the Little
probably,
League.
more than likely. Everybody has. And without a dunk tank.
Okay.
All right.
So, yeah, very excited. We had 35 vendors last year, so of course, you know me, I'm looking for 50. Got to aim high.
All right, so I move we give permission to the Wareham Village Association to have the Swan Festival on Saturday, July 14, 2018, with a rain date of Sunday, July 15, for the use of Merchants Way and Bessie Park, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. Any questions from the board? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Okay, next is, let's see. All right, next is the Christmas Parade. The annual
Oktoberfest train.
Christmas Parade. And this is December the 1st, 2018, beginning at 3 p.m. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure, we changed the venue of that last year. Chief Walsh was a big advocate for this change, and it worked brilliantly. We're staging it, all the walking venues stage in the parking lot between the multi-service center and town hall, and all of the mobile units staged in front of the track and beyond, which gave us so much more room, easy to move things around. And then we all converged and went down the hill, took a right, and ended at Bessie Park, with Santa again coming over by boat. Thank you, Gary Buckminster, for making that happen. He's assured me he will continue to do that, so I hope even with this new title he's taken on, that will still happen. I do have some concerns with Bessie Park, because the 2 trees that we lit up are both leaning, so I don't know if I need to approach Mr. Menard at maintenance to find out if there's any digging and moving them back. There's not a lot of trees to light up down there, but they took a hit in the storm, so I will address that with him. But that is still our
Check them out, yeah.
venue.
Okay, I move we give
Historical
permission to
District
the
Commission
Wareham
again.
Village Association for their annual Christmas parade. Parade will begin at Town Hall and Viking Drive to Bessie Park on Saturday, December 1 of 2018, beginning at 3 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. Any questions of the board? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
All right, next up is Oktoberfest Train Ride,
Yes. Want me to speak on this one?
if you'd like.
The first year we did it, 2 years ago, it was an unbelievable hit. We sold out, I think it was in 11 days. So unfortunately, my era, as well as the whole board, I guess, will all take the hit. We didn't do a lot of advertising. We just assumed it was a shoe-in, which you can never do. So because we're all volunteers and it's difficult to stay on top of everything, we did not sell out last year. However, the turnout was good enough that we voted as a board to do it again. My fear is if we waited or tried to do it every other year, those people that did come are going to find another activity to do, and then we've lost them. I think if we really push it, advertise, we will sell out again. It's not that, it's only 306 seats, so it's not that difficult, and it is a blast. You go over the canal, come back again. People absolutely love it. So we're going for it again this year.
Okay. I move we give permission to the Wareham Village Association for the Merchants Way train, at the Merchant Way Train Depot for the Oktoberfest train ride on Saturday, October 27th, 2018, and it begins at 4 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. Any questions of the board? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
And that's the end.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, and I just want to say congratulations to Alan and Mary. And Mary, it is just so exciting to have you on this board.
Thank you,
Forward to
Tracy.
it. Thank you, everyone.
All right, we're gonna go back up, I guess.
Yeah, Ellis is,
We're gonna get to Wareham Munger. Here we go.
just a quick hello to Jerry, nice to see you.
Application for Ella's for a change of hours. All right, guys, so this is an application for Ella's. It's actually L and L Corporation, DBA, Ella's Wood Burning Oven Restaurant. And they're changing their hours. Got it here. So their hours will go from October 1 to Memorial Day. From Monday and Tuesday, they'll be closed. Wednesday and Thursday, they'll do 5 to 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 5 to 11, and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. I move we approve it.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Peter. Any questions of the board? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Next up is Wareham Little League. Okay, so this is their annual parade they do every year. You know, it starts at the, well, at your favorite place,
Tremont now.
Tremont Nail. And it goes up the street to the park, and then they have a big sort of start of the season day. And they're requesting permission to do this on Sunday, April 29th, from 12 p.m. to 12:25. It doesn't take very long. They walk pretty fast. And they'll be tying up a little piece of road. We have all the sign-offs here, so everything looked okay to me.
Yeah, same as always.
It's the same as usual, so. And I move that we give permission to Wareham Little League to have their annual opening day parade on Sunday, April 29th, from 12 to 12:25.
Second?
Motion by Patrick, second by Peter. Any questions of the board? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Okay, next up is Church of the Good Shepherd. Okay, the Church of the Good Shepherd is looking to have a walk for hunger. The walk starts at Good Shepherd's Church down Sandwich Road to the Church of the Nazarene along Route 28 before turning onto Depot Street and then to Minot Ave to Main and then back to the church. This is Sunday, May 6th from 1 to 4 p.m. I move we grant them permission to use the road.
Second?
They've done this in the past, so it's...
Motion by Patrick, second by Peter. Any questions of the board? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Okay, so that takes care of that. Acceptance of the bond. Let me just see.
You
We
have
had-
one there?
I don't know. I'm gonna look and see if we have the bond. We didn't earlier. So that's the donations.
Sorry.
Gotta find the bond here, folks. I moved things around because we went down, so hang with me here. Culture. No, it's been taken out. I don't see it here at all now.
All right,
Unless it got down to the bottom for somewhere. There it is. It got down to the bottom. Let's see if it's in here. No, this was here before, but the bond itself was not.
I would, I'm going to move that to the next meeting then.
Yeah, there's no bond here.
They need paperwork in order to do that.
And, you know, under the circumstances, I say we move it on. All right.
I thought that happened.
Possible vote and recommendation of any warrant articles. That's still on here.
Do you have any left?
We have the petition articles, a couple.
I was looking
We
at
still
that.
have, do we have the town meeting score sheet over there?
It's not.
No, they didn't bring it to us.
It's not here.
I noticed on this, it says we voted on some things for the citizens ones that I don't think we did.
Well, let's take a look at it and hash it out now. 'Cause we're gonna
Alright.
have to know what we need to do next week, so.
Yep.
Let's see, the citizens were in the annual 36, 37, 38. Okay, Article 15 on the regular warrant. That was the one to discontinue the portion of Cedar Island Road. That's where the gentleman came in, and
Yep.
and we did recommend approval of that unanimously. Article number 16, we haven't voted on that. That's the article to raise and appropriate $5,000 for South Shore Community Action Council. Says for services for low-income families. What it is, it would be fuel assistance. My understanding, as I spoke with the town moderator earlier, and the petitioner is going to request the town meeting table the article. So I think we need to make a motion to recommend tabling the article.
I think we did that.
No, we didn't do
No.
anything. So we-
No,
we hadn't made
It's
a
not in the
decision.
book.
It's-
We left most of these alone.
I
Because
thought
you're giving the petitioners an
I
opportunity to come in.
remember doing one the table.
We didn't do
But
that.
it's okay. We can do it again. It
Yeah.
doesn't, it's gonna hurt anything.
No. Actually, we can get another vote on the record.
I'll need an official motion then.
I move that we vote to recommend tabling Article 16.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Tony. Any questions? All in favor? Oh,
Aye.
Mr. Bowen, before we, yes, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You might want to consider indefinitely postpone rather than table, because there's a procedural mechanism where you can take an article from the table.
Oh, then bring it back, yeah. You lay it on the table, it can come back, I get it. Okay, I will withdraw my original motion. If you'll withdraw your second, I'll make another.
Thank you.
Actually, you have to reconsider because we already took the vote.
Yeah.
So just,
Move to reconsider the prior vote.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Okay, now I'll make the main motion. I move that the board vote to recommend indefinite postponement of Article 16.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Tony. Any questions? None heard. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
We did not vote on Article 17, which is the aquaculture one. My understanding is that, again, from the moderator who's had communication with the petitioners, is they do intend to go forward with this one. This one would require anybody within half a mile of essentially an aquaculture project, if you will, that would involve putting something into the rivers or the bay or anything like that, would have to notify directly, not by publication, but direct notification of everyone within a half mile,
Yes.
which would be literally anywhere you were in town. It would mean hundreds, if not thousands, of certified letters that would have to go out. Aside from the overburdensome cost of doing that to anybody applying for this, it seems to me that it's a mechanism designed to find the one missing person who didn't get noticed, to use that to kill things. I think it's nuts.
So,
Just as a reference, they have us down there as not recommending it, even though we didn't vote on this. I know,
Well, you know
we can just reaffirm it, it's fine.
that's all.
Well, we can reaffirm it, and we have another member now to join us, should she choose.
Need a motion then?
With this one, where it's not gonna be withdrawn, I recommend the board, try again. I move that this board vote to not recommend approval of Article 17.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Tony. Any discussion? None heard. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Change it in my book.
And we also have an email from Mr. Buckminster asking to be put on the agenda for this, and I think there's some real confusion from the proponents of the article, because the Board of Selectmen were already granted powers to regulate this industry, and this goes back to the 1940s, 1942, 46, and 53. So,
You sure that's not 1642, 1646, and 1653?
well, it does, way back.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You
Fishing
know,
and
you look in
fouling.
the riparian acts and all the other stuff way back when, and,
So,
Mr. Bowen, he's got his hand up.
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I was just going to say, it's even money that the Attorney General finds that this area has been preempted by state law. Now, she might not. I don't want to say conclusively that it's going to get shot down, but I'll just say, don't be surprised.
My question back to the town administrator. Gary wants to speak to us on this before town meeting?
I don't know if you'll have really enough time before town meeting. Again, he's saying, why don't we put together a moratorium on because we've got nothing for coming forward for the private aquaculture farm. So why don't we put a moratorium? We can actually look into this and do some of the rules and such, because it seems to be just concern of a few folks. So.
I don't think
I
we,
don't think we need a moratorium.
I don't think we
though.
can
I
do
mean,
it today, though, because we have nothing on the
No,
agenda.
there's nothing on the agenda to do
The
that.
earliest would be the night of the 23rd.
I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that he is not for this, so he's against this article, and
That's all we need to know from my
Yeah.
perspective.
That's fine.
Yeah.
so.
I don't want to crush an entire industry.
Okay. Next.
Next up is Article 18. This is Fund Director of Council on Aging. We did already vote on this
Did
one,
that.
according to this.
According to that, I don't think we did that. We were going to do it last
We
week. but
voted
didn't.
we voted to not recommend, so I'll move that we vote again to not recommend.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Tony. Any questions? None heard. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Okay.
I think that's all we had. We did vote the budget, I believe, a long time ago.
Yeah.
We did, yeah.
I think that's it.
Is that it?
We took
Yeah.
the budget as a matter of faith, I think.
Yes.
Wareham Town Finances.
You want to double check through?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip through it. Why don't you go
Articles.
start another agenda item? I'll just go through
All right, so we have
Yes, dear.
Friends of the Wareham Library, check, we have to accept a check in the amount of $3,000 to the Wareham Free Library gift account.
That's your motion?
Yes.
Need a second? Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? 500.
Okay, liaison assignments. You know what, can we, let's not do that yet. Can we do this, this lottery thing that you have on here?
Yeah, I think we were given a notice that we can do this on our own.
Yeah, I think we can. I don't think we really need anything, but I think, I mean, I think only when if we had an issue, would we really deal with this typically.
Why don't we just make a motion to approve it? That way
That's
it's on
fine.
record.
All right, fine. I make a motion that we approve the Massachusetts State Lottery putting a Keno monitor into Cranberry Plaza Mobile and Cape Way Convenience Store.
Need a second?
Second.
Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
Unanimous.
500. Motion by Patrick, second by Mary.
All right, now, let's see. Liaison, okay,
The next one,
discussion.
I'll take the next one.
You wanna
This is not really for discussion, this is just for the town administrator. When and if he's ready to let us know when he wants to put the senior work-off program on the agenda. There's nothing right now,
Okay.
that's all.
All right, so then let's go back to liaison assignments. Has everybody looked over the assignments? And does anybody want to change an assignment, add an assignment?
I would like to add some.
Okay, what did you have in mind?
Can I see the list for a second?
You can,
Thank you.
you can. Take a look and see. You can tell, certainly all the ones that Judy had are available.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I can pass these back to you guys if anybody wants to. There's just a couple that I didn't want, that I wouldn't have time for.
Okay.
You know what?
You know what,
I'll
why
do the
don't
ones
you-
that Judy wasn't doing, with the exception of the two, I'll let you.
All right, why don't you just
Yeah,
tell us
after.
later? We don't have to
Yeah.
do it right this second. Let her do that and then get it to the office.
Just
How
two,
about
and
that?
you and I still would.
This is a procedural thing anyway, right?
Okay, yeah,
All
it
right?
is, we don't have to
So
vote on
why
that.
don't we do that, all right?
Okay,
We do have one, any other town business?
you all set with yours?
Yes, I'm all set.
Anyone have any town business, Tony? Mary?
No?
Patrick?
I do.
Go ahead.
Here it is here. It says, they're looking for permission. Who is it? Let's see. Tommy Homestead and
Oh, that's the sign.
advertise the Greater Wareham Walk for Hunger at the Tommy Homestead. No, it doesn't really say. Okay, yeah, it is. It's the Greater, it's the GWWFH, the Wareham Walk for Hunger. All right, so they want permission to put a sign at the Toby Homestead, you know, in front there,
In front.
to advertise the event, which is coming up on May 6th. And they'd like to do it, obviously, as soon as possible. I move that we give them permission.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Tony. Any questions? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
Beautiful. All right, town administrator.
You're up, Derek.
I think one of the things, usually you'll vote right before town meeting, but it was some of the capital items. Really, for the annual town meeting, we only have two items coming forward. It's in the police capital line, which would be 4 cruisers, and there's 2 motorcycles requested as well. We've been speaking about those. We brought in front of capital planning. Those were supported by capital planning. Believe it or not, this is something that we did away with before, but in speaking to the lieutenants and such, this is for, especially for when we have the events such as the Cape Verdean Festival, others, they're good to get through those. They run for about 2 of them, you're looking about the same price as a cruiser. But they've outlined those as being important. This isn't the old cruise around on them. It's not jet skis, I'll tell you that. So it's something they've brought forward, and you know,
I'm
Oh, boy.
completely against this. And the reason is that the last time we bought motorcycles, somebody was injured again. And it's a consistent theme, and there's no reason not to protect officers. If it takes a little longer to get through, I'd rather have them do that than get hurt. The officers, in my opinion, are more important than having a motorcycle because they can get through faster.
I can tell you in all honesty, we've also had them hurt in cruisers. It's a dangerous job.
Much greater chance of being hurt. I mean, it hasn't been a good thing every time we've had motorcycles. And I'm talking about every time. And we've done it, we've had them, then we got rid of them. Then we had them, and then we got rid of them. Then we had them, and we got rid of them. And I've been around a long time, so I know I've been involved in all those changes. Never been a good thing for us, ever. So I would suggest that we don't approve those motorcycles. That'd be my opinion.
Anybody else?
Was there a specific recommendation from the police department on them?
Yes, that was to do the 4 cruisers and 2 motorcycles.
Well, I suppose, from my perspective, I can appreciate what you're saying. On the other hand, clearly they know that they're assuming the risk by getting these things, so.
But it's our risk,
Well,
not theirs. I mean, they're the ones to get hurt, but it hurts the whole department. It hurts everybody.
Mary?
I'm not a fan. I agree with Patrick, but far be it for me to say what they need to run their department. So I would be inclined to go along with it.
Tony?
I feel the same way. Not for it, but I guess we'll have to go along with it.
Well, for me, it's interesting because I was in the motorcycle business for years, so I have some pretty good horror stories, unfortunately. I actually recommended to Derek that we get BMWs, but that didn't go over too big. They have laser guns on those too, by the way.
These would be the Harleys.
I
They're
know,
not
Derek
BMWs.
said we had to get Harleys instead of bikes that last forever.
aren't the BMWs cheaper?
Yeah, they're a little cheaper, but they also last twice as long, but that's beside the point.
Fine,
Pine Indian.
It's a tough, no, Royal Animals are made in India now. It's a tough thing. I remember standing outside of the minor school. We had a parade that was starting from there. And I remember one of the motorcycle police officers standing next to me, and his bike was parked across the street on the side. I don't know if you remember that one. And some guy came by in a car and clocked the bike. And the bike was just sitting there parked, and he hit the bike solid behind the saddlebags, and he just completely trashed the hell out of it. Unfortunately, the police officer wanted to kill the guy. He was crying at the same time. That was his toy. I know from the MOP squad in Boston, a lot of the policemen really enjoy it. It gives them crowd control and other things. If they really want it, I would say we give them one more shot, but if they have the same issues again, that should be it forever. Because no matter what you say, you're on 2 wheels, if you come to a stop, a bike doesn't stay there, it falls over. It's as simple as that. You go down, you get crash bars, you can slide, but unfortunately, the person running on the motorcycle, anything hits them, the motorcycle more or less stays together, sort of. The bodies don't, they break. So I know they're taking courses and safety and everything else, but the risk is much higher than normal. But if they're willing to do it, I'm willing to take one more shot, but that'll be the last time. Because I didn't like what happened last time. Need someone to make a motion, just for Derek?
I'm not making
I know you're not.
I'll tell you that right now.
Your
I'm
call.
not willing to hurt.
Move to recommend?
Need a
Second.
second?
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
410.
Tony was a no as well,
Tony's a
320.
no.
You were no too? Okay,
Yep.
sorry. Then it's
Patrick was very persuasive over there.
it's a 320.
I've been around too long. I've
I
seen it
know.
come and go,
I don't disagree with
time
you.
and time again, and it's always been a problem, always.
I have no
All
problem
dangerous.
working with the police department on this and speaking to them. It's, I think they have a good plan with it, but
Time will tell.
at the end of the day,
I'm trying to be very conscious of our police officers. I hold them in high regard,
We all do.
and I want them to be protected as best as possible. and I don't think this does it for them.
Unfortunately, they want it to, that's the problem.
I know they do, but I get that, but I'm still concerned about their well-being.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Do you have any
Hopefully
others
you're
with
not right.
less controversy,
Hope not.
perhaps?
I hope I'm wrong.
Well, in the special town meeting, we have the items that we'll be using from free cash, and I cannot claim that they will be less controversial.
I asked him if he had anything less controversial coming up.
Did you?
Yeah.
The first item would be $50,000 for IT from Mr. Underhill. I can't imagine that one's controversial.
Why, that would be controversial.
I'm going through the good ones first. $35,000 for EMS, and that's for some of the automated equipment that they want. That's 2 of the physio monitors, I believe. So we need 2 of those. They'll run about $35,000.
Is this in the regular or the special?
This is in the special.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise I'll have to wait until July.
Do it right away.
Right, so we can get them right away. This is what we traditionally use free cash for from the snow and ice deficit and items such as that. And, $280,000 for 4 school buses. That would be, the school buses are 90,000 with the 70 student
that
size.
match?
We're gonna get 20,000 on each of them. I can't bring it up to the full amount for the 10 buses that the EPA grant awarded, but I think 4 will be helpful.
Do what you can, Derek.
Then the next item, and I just want to, we were going back and forth. The portion of it actually passed at the district meeting, and that was for the microwave radios.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right. I don't know if anybody understands that right now we have, especially in West Wareham, we are dropping all sorts of radios. You can't get in contact. Now, our main issue is our towers are run through Verizon lines, and I don't think anybody explained this clearly. They're Verizon copper lines. Verizon will not fix those for us anymore. So we looked at running the FiOS lines through all of them. That worked out to be over $450,000. So the second option is the microwave units, which, believe it or not, we already utilized microwave for some of our internet back and forth. It's been effective for us. So we're looking at approximately $160,000 to outfit and move to the microwave units. You know, I would say they've done a lot of due diligence on it. I sat with the Wareham PD and also Mr. Underhill, and this is one of the few things that you could call a little bit of regionalization when you have the districts involved. So
This particular item's been sitting out there for more than a few years. It's been a constant issue. We had, I remember we had Sprint with the cell phones, and that was a disaster and a half as well. So, you know, again, if we're talking about safety, et cetera, this is a very important
Well, they're
piece.
not gonna fix copper lines anymore, they're all going.
No, they're done with it. They actually just went through that in Wareham Village. Some of the businesses there wound up switching over.
Well,
They
they steal
switched
the copper
providers because
anyways.
they made such a hash of it down there.
Yeah.
So,
Anything else?
I asked questions that are essentially silly, but you need to ask them. I said, can we use the cruisers as, you know, the repeaters? Can we make them 4G hotspots? And we've gone through that with the phones, and it hasn't been
Doesn't work
effective.
because the antennas don't pick up.
Yeah.
What else you got?
You know, fiber travels at the speed of light, copper travels at about 700 miles an hour.
Actually, the speed of feet.
Big difference.
Yeah. So
186,000 miles a second is the speed of light, in case anybody wants to know.
those would be the items for the special town meeting.
Need a motion, please. Go ahead.
Excuse me.
Except for,
Oh,
this
here we
has
come.
not been passed by the capital planning. It'll be coming before them this Thursday. And that would be borrowing article for $800,000 for portables for the Deacon's School.
yeah,
Portables?
portable
Oh, yeah.
classrooms.
Yeah,
Yeah, we know what that's all about.
all right. So
That's based on the minor school getting crushed.
that's based on mine at school closing, the school committee. It really doesn't, it's going to be up to them what they do, no matter what they get for funding. But this has been brought forward, it's been requested of us. We all know that the portables, when you look at it, it looks to be cheaper for us to buy them with the installation than you could, if you're not going to utilize them for long term, you can auction them off. If it were to turn out that something were to happen, that you would have a new school built at Minot, and you're talking years into the new school built at Minot, you're talking years in the future. Deacon's is a potential site for a public safety complex. We can try and utilize those. So there's options. I'm not saying it's the best thing that I would love to do with future borrowing. However, it seems to be necessary, and it's cheaper for us to borrow $800,000 over 10 years than it is to put $600,000 into an annual budget.
Yeah.
So.
You're doing this with the idea that you'll hold off until we actually have something concrete in place going forward?
gonna be the controversial thing?
Yeah,
Perhaps a
So
town meeting. I
this
don't
is
know.
really the authorization
it's
to
an
do it.
authorization only.
People sometimes forget, so just because you're authorized to do something doesn't mean that it's going to happen if something else comes forward. But without the authorization, you
Can't do it in the
cannot,
first
you
place.
can't engage in a plan.
I think it's important for the public and the newspapers to get that out, because people hear that and think that we've committed to borrowing the money, we're gonna do it. It's not gonna really happen unless the other pieces fall into place.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's up to our two reporters to do it correctly or else.
Wow, threatening the media already?
Yes, I'm picking on the media already.
Matt's watching Netflix, so don't worry.
Need a motion for,
Motion to approve the capital plan as presented.
Second.
motion by Peter, second by Tony. Any questions on the board? None heard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained, 500.
Recommend that. That one. Budget transfers?
It's my fault, I should have got a copy of what we had left over. I didn't bring it with me.
I have the preliminary ones, but let's go through it at, I think on Monday, because I'm gonna go through with accounting one last time.
Yeah, I'd rather have it fixed so we know what it is exactly.
All right, so that would be the last one hanging,
Yeah, I think so.
so.
So we'll put it on the agenda for next Monday.
We might want to specify that it's Article 1 of the special, because that's all that's left.
Okay,
Unless, thinking anyone wants to change their mind and require a vote.
And just
Oh, sorry.
when we finalize, if I can interrupt, Mr. Chairman, when we finalize Article 1, most likely tomorrow, I will send out the motions with that in there, even if it hasn't been voted upon. If there's some changes that wish to be made, we can obviously make that right before town meeting, but I'd just like to get the motions out
Good.
ahead of time.
okay, that's it?
That's it, that takes care of
Oh, I'm just
all of
asking,
the warrant articles except for that one.
just asking Derek if he's all set.
Well, I don't think he has more capital, does he?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Didn't they already, isn't that a separate? Oh, so he's right, that's the, sewer had put forth some capital. The three things that were, the one thing that was approved by the by the capital planning committee was 3 generators for $145,400. That's in the annual with the motorcycles. So there were additional requests from the sewer department out of their capital budget line, but we'd like to have more information and bring that back for October town
Okay.
meeting.
So we have nothing else to approve for them then?
Correct.
Correct, okay. All righty. Next is initiative reports from the board. Tony, anything at all?
No.
Mary, not yet, you haven't done anything yet? Patrick?
All right, so,
Don't laugh at people.
well, maybe we should let Peter go next. You wanna go, Peter?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Doesn't
All
matter.
right, so, couple things.
Just a slave of this laughing at us
The
again.
$10 million plan for the sewer repair, let's call it, will be coming to town meeting. And I want everybody to be aware of the real seriousness of this issue. Now, how it's gonna be funded and whether it's gonna make your rates go up is not being said properly out there in the public. There are people talking about it going up 50%. Not even gonna come anywhere near that. As a matter of fact, the rates may not rise at all in the end result, because there is room in the capital budget as well as some other things, and they're gonna talk about it, I think, tomorrow or next Wednesday?
No,
Oh, it has to be
this
tomorrow.
Thursday, they've set up a meeting, and it will be the full board, myself, Mr. Foster, will be attending. We'll make some recommendations on how to,
How to fund it.
yeah, how to fund it and bring it together. This is sort of the final stage. One of the interesting things is it's, 10 million seems, they put out they didn't put it completely out to bid, but they got some information on this through basically 3 different sources. The highest one was close to 10 million. It was, some of them came in a little lower. We put in the worst case scenario because you can't, the way we're set up, our form of government, we cannot just randomly come back if something costs more. You always have to come back to town meeting. There's no real, unless it's a true emergency, to expend those funds. So you go with the worst case scenario. Just so people understand, if something costs us $6 million, we're not going to give the contractor $10 million. I know that sounds, but that's really the thought.
I know.
So.
I know, and and that's true. People think that, they really do. That, if you have 10, you're gonna spend 10. But I'll tell you right now, I think in this meeting alone, we're taking back some money. For sure, in the CPC budget, we're bringing back some articles that never got expended, right? Correct. And this happens all the time. There's many times there's articles and money left over that we take back and use for other things later on. So, yeah, that doesn't happen. But please don't believe that your sewer bills are gonna go up 50%. Don't walk in there with that in mind and loaded for bear because you think your sewer bills are going up like that. I'm guessing they're gonna go, if they went up at all, there'd be a minuscule amount. It'd be funded over 20 years, and there's a lot of other ways they can fund it, but we'll have that information after Thursday's get-together, I'm sure. So by town meeting, we'll know exactly the numbers, okay? Next, it was interesting, I think I was looking at the newspaper, and I happened to glance down, and there was a thing in there about the drop-in center at the Good Shepherd's Church, which I thought was really great, because I hadn't seen anything like it before, and they made it clear that they have Narcan available, and as you know, the Surgeon General's asked everybody to carry Narcan. Put it in your car, keep it at home, have it available, and learn to use it. Really, I mean, it sounds silly, but the Surgeon General has not asked for this kind of thing maybe once or twice in the history of the position, that somebody, that to go to this extent. So it's pretty serious stuff. So get down there to the drop-in center. It's a third Thursday down in the Church of the Good Shepherd, right over here on High Street. It opens at 5 and it closes at 9. So get down there and get yourself some Narcan, learn how to use it, and put it in your car, keep it wherever, so you have it available in case you run into the situation. They'll also make you feel more comfortable about using it. I know some people get a little scared that if they give it and they shouldn't have given it, what's gonna happen and all that. They have the answers to all that, okay? So, it's a good thing, not a bad thing. And that's all I have.
Peter?
All set.
That was easy.
That's good, Peter.
Like that?
I like that. Let's see where we are today. Bum, 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 bum. Alrighty. The only thing really important is the MOP meeting today, which is transportation. The TIP program, which is a Transportation Improvement Program. Town of Wareham's reconstruction of Route 6 and 28 from Tyler to Red Brook Road is on the tip for 2018. It's fully funded to the amount of, let's see, it's an interesting figure here, $18,723 and $23,223, sorry. And then there's a separate little piece also for about $9,000 as well. So that's in and done. We still have some people that aren't happy about the project, complaining, but at the federal level, but the project's been approved by the state, so that's kind of where it's at there. As I said before, the bike path from basically Narrows and Minot Road is in the 2023 TIP program, and there should be no issue there as long as we have all our paperwork in place. That is hard to believe, but it's $5.2 million for that, which is a lot of money. And
That include redoing the entire roadway, though?
yes,
Wow.
it's a major piece because they have to do a bunch of things to it.
Just, if I could ask you a question about the design?
Yep.
Are they keeping the lanes the same width? Because I recall a few years ago, somebody thought that it would be wonderful to narrow the lanes.
They intend to narrow the lanes a little bit because the speed on the road is so high. Because they have to have bike lanes, et cetera. And they have to be careful
They have a
because
bike way?
there's really no lane on some of them to, to go left or right to expand. It's all been engineered out, so it's kind of in place. It's been going on for 4 years now.
Yeah.
I think the state has
I don't
gone
like
from
bike
a 12-foot to 11-foot roadway.
Yeah,
In general.
but this
They
may be,
grab a couple of feet that way.
this might be a little bit tighter than that because of the bike lanes.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about head-on collisions. It's a long straightaway and people can get lulled.
Well, we got this, I won't say what I'm thinking right now, never mind. The only other thing is, in the MMA, I went out to the legislative on environment and energy, and it was interesting because they talked about the solar credits ongoing, increasing them back up again. They talked about the bottle bill, in particular for the miniatures, et cetera. The bottle companies are trying to come up with a new bill, which in 3 years they stop subsidizing the bottle, recycling. And it's not going to work at all for anybody, but they're pushing hard because they don't want to do it at all. And plastic bags is another piece that they're working on with the MMA as well in this committee. So we go before the House and Senate to actually testify on that stuff. So I'll be up in Boston doing more of that. And I think that's all I've got. So we have, I think, minutes.
Okay. Yeah, we have a consent agenda, and we have no bills because apparently the new contract with town council is for free.
Yes.
For some reason, no, I don't, apparently. So we'll move on
Yeah,
to
he's just trying to
approving-
emulate Attorney Cohen there.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got a fabulous business model.
He's
He
got a
charges
great
nobody
business
anything, and
model.
yet he's much more successful than I am. I don't understand how that
It's one
works.
Heck of a business model. All right, the next thing is we have some minutes. All right, so we have the minutes of April the 3rd. Now, everybody except Mary was here, and I move we approve the minutes as presented for April 3rd, 2018. It's a regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
Motion by Patrick, second by Peter. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
The next was...
4-0-1.
Mary abstained.
Yes.
This is terrific. Next, believe it or not, talk about being on track. This is last week's minutes.
Of course.
How do you like that? So I move we approve the regular session of the Board of Selectmen, April 10th, 2018 minutes, and we were all 5 here.
Second.
The
Motion by
auditor's really
Patrick,
upset, you guys.
second by Peter. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? This one is 5-0-0.
There we go. And that's it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, Wareham.
Aye.